Hey everyone, Colin once again, and welcome back to another movie review. And now I'm going to be reviewing Jungle Cruise with Dwayne Johnson. I did not care for this film. Just say this right off the bat, I did not care for the movie. I just reviewed Suicide Squad. I had fun with the movie. Yeah, I had a couple of nitpicks here and there, though, but overall I did enjoy it. For most part, I enjoyed the cast. Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn again, Idris Elba as Bloodsport, Stallone voicing as King Shark. Yes, I even gave John Cena a pass for once as Peacemaker. I know, I couldn't hear myself saying that. Yes. And it was cool to see Michael Rooker and Nathan Fillion again, collaborating once again with James Gunn. And James Gunn did a good job with the movie. Made it much more funner, lighter tone of a DC film in that universe. So, and had a more of a consistent tone than how it was for than the first Suicide Squad did. But I enjoyed it. Just overall, would I put on my list of favorite films this year? Yes, Suicide Squad. This film, no. I would put this already on another one I put on my worst list of this year. Okay, Jungle Cruise. It was based on a Disney attraction, which I do know of. Even my dad from back then, he rode on the ride one time. I think it was from back then. So yeah, so he was also familiar with the theme park attraction, Jungle Cruise. But the film itself, okay. What I don't like, why I do not care about the film. Well, first of all, this film did not have to be over 2 hours long. Now, Suicide Squad was like over 2 hours, but the pacing, well, in a little bit in the middle, when it was in the middle with the Harley Quinn being captured, though, that was a little bit slow issues. But from the beginning and then up until the end, the pacing was much better. Here, though, this film did not have to be 2 hours, and it was much more slower paced. And first thing. This film, one thing is it was a bit of mashups from other movies. Mainly, if people know the plot of this, people will bring up that mainly the one of the things that this film ripped off from was from The Mummy from 1999 with Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz, because there was a whole lot of similarities that was mainly aimed towards The Mummy and a little bit of other movies as well. Well, the premise of it, okay. It's, not only it stars Dwayne Johnson, but it stars Emily Blunt, and it's sad that deal because I like Emily Blunt as an actress. I do. She's doing her best here in this film because I enjoy Emily Blunt. I thought she was not the problem with her acting in this film. Was not the problem. Instead of just to give them the script that she was working with, and she's trying her best though. But sadly though, she couldn't save this movie. It's too bad because I enjoy Emily Blunt. I enjoyed the recent films she did, like A Quiet Place, and they came out this year, A Quiet Place Part 2. But yeah, I could probably say she was the best part of this movie, but that's not saying much because, like I said, she couldn't save this film. Dwayne Johnson, I enjoyed Dwayne Johnson, but the thing is though, seeing him nowadays, this is more the films he's doing. He's running on fumes now. A lot of his shtick and say is kind of pretty much the same now. His track record hasn't been that good for the past few years. I would say he's just running on fumes now. His track record, okay. I don't like the Jumanji films. I don't. The newer ones. The first one, Welcome to the Jungle. Then the Next Level, I don't care for at all. The last good one I would say was back in 2018. No, not 2018. 2016. I like Central Intelligence with Kevin Hart. Rampage, I was mixed on it though, but his acting wasn't the problem. It's just and I like Jeffrey Dean Morgan, but it was not one of his best movies either. What else? Oh, well, the new ones that he came out with between those times. Oh yeah, Baywatch. That sucked. Baywatch sucked. Although I did kind of like Hobbs and Shaw with him and Jason Statham. Hobbs and Shaw, but nothing really great though. And here's another one. He's some of the same jokes. Well, the jokes in here was bad, and it was very on point on the jokes, which I'll get to though. But he's just running on fumes now. I know he's doing Black Adam, and the thing is, he's working with this. And another issue is this director. He's working with the director of this film for Black Adam. Same director directed this film and is directing Black Adam, and it sucks. But this director. This is not his kind of movie to make, because if you look at the record of this director, Jaume and Collet-Serra, directed a lot of films that I've enjoyed from. I enjoyed The Shallows with Blake Lively from 2016. That was a good shark film. A horror remake that I find it's very underrated. The 2005 remake of House of Wax. I really enjoyed the remake of House of Wax. I think that's an underrated horror remake from 2005. He directed a lot of films with Liam Neeson. Non-Stop, I enjoyed. Unknown, I was not really big on. Run All Night, I did a little rant on that though, but let's say that's another film that he did with Liam Neeson. There was what was the other one he did with Liam? Oh, The Commuter. The Commuter, also with Liam Neeson. I liked The Commuter. So he did other films with Liam Neeson. So those films, Orphan, I liked, especially with the twist. Orphan, I liked that film. So yeah, Jaume Collet-Serra, the films he did for the most part I enjoyed, But this film, this is not his type of movie to direct. A Disney film that he directs. This is not his type of movie. But he's gonna begin again with Dwayne Johnson again for Black Adam. I know my brother, he's excited for that film. He is. But this film, this is not his type of movie to make. He should stick to directing like more straight action or more horror movies, or action thrillers, you can say. This is not his type of movie at all to make. And this film, once again, I already made this point about it in my review of Suicide Squad. How this film is not doing that well because, given this film's a huge budget movie of $200 million, it's not doing that well box office wise because of, like I said before, the whole thing, the COVID thing, and the whatever, and also the Disney Plus streaming. Like I said before, I'm getting tired of hearing all this crap, and I think the reason why people, why it's not doing, these films are not doing well at box office, because probably are staying home, which I do understand I do understand that though, but I think at the same time it hurts the box office for these movies, and all these movies keep them released in theaters and on streaming at the same time. I think the streaming is hurting the box office for these films. And that's why these films are these big budget films are losing money because of that. I think to me, in my opinion, it's a bunch of low bull crap. But that's just me though, okay? That's hey, it's like me. It's like, what do I know? I'm just a freaking nobody, some poor schmuck who just says his own opinions. But what do I know? I'm just proving my point here. Yeah, so streaming is what hurting the box office for these movies, big budget films. That's why they're not doing that well. And what else? Oh, okay. So I better get into the story because, like I said, there's a whole bunch of similarities that give basically mainly from the Mummy. Okay, first of all, let's do the comparisons first. Comparisons. It's like you have a brother and sister, right? Emily Blunt and this other guy was played with Jack Plemons, I think. What was the guy's name? Or was that the name of the villain? No, Jack Whitehall. Jack Plemons is the guy who plays the villain. Jack Whitehall is the guy who plays the brother. So you have a brother-sister duo, just like the Mummy, right? They need a guide. Just like the Mummy, when Rachel Weisz looked for Brendan Fraser for a guy to go to Amanoptera. Here, same thing. They're looking for a guide. There is a certain well, I'm not say a treasure though, but because this word to get a little mix up from another movie. This whole what they were going after for just reminds me of Anaconda's the hunt for the blood orchid. Yeah, I reviewed that a while back as well. Anacondas, the hunt for the blood orchid. Where they have to go find in the jungle. Same thing here, where there's this flower that can able to heal pretty much anything. Basically like a fountain of youth type of thing. Like in Hunt for the Blood Orchid, same thing here. It's this mystical tree that makes these flowers that can cure pretty much anything, probably any ailment. So that's another similar to there. But they get a guy. They need to go on this journey. There's a villain who's cursed. Just like Arnold Vosloo in The Mummy as Imhotep. And to break the curse as well. Here you have this guy played by Edgar Ramirez, who played Ares from Wrath of the Titans. He was in actually a horror film I liked, Deliver Us from Evil. He was in it along with Eric Bana. I like that film. He was in that too. He was also in the Tony Scott film Domino. But here he plays a guy who's cursed, and they want to break the curse. So you got similarities to that. And then you get the love-hate duo between the lead and the woman. Like Rachel Weisz and Brendan Fraser, right? They kind of argue a lot, but then they fall in love. Same thing with Emily Blunt and Dwayne Johnson. So you got a lot of similar, and also a key. Like how in The Mummy with the key was a key to open the book or the sarcophagus or whatever. Here, this is that they need to get this this stone that's like a key to get when they get to the location. They put it there to unlock whatever. It's the same thing with The Mummy. So you got a whole bunch of similarities from The Mummy, along with a little bit mix of Anacondas, Hunt for the Blood Orchid, and of course it's in the jungle. Or you get a little bit of things of I also get a little bit of Pirates of the Caribbean as well. Just pointing that out too. So yeah, it's just a lot of blended, generic blendness that we see, all the stuff we've seen before. Nothing special at all. And putting on a slow-paced, over 2-hour-long movie, which did not need to be. But that's the whole bunch of issues I have, though. But getting to the story, Emily Blunt and her brother, Jack Whitehall, they talk about this mystical flower that were they conquistadors? They're these Spanish people. They're Edgar Ramirez and his men. They were seeking this thing, the flower. Well, they were trusted by these tribe people. They were kind to them, but then they betrayed them, and they were jackasses basically, and they ended up being cursed. And they cannot stray too far from the river, otherwise they get brought back to the river because they can't go too far, because they cannot stray too far from the water. But they've been turned to stone for so many centuries. And Emily Blunt, she's doing a little heisty thing, get this rock away from this German villain played by Jack Plemons. And the villain in this film I did not care for. This villain, who was also seeking off the flowers as well. This German prince, you can say, I did not care for him at all. And then they get away, and they go to the Amazon, basically. The Amazon, they're looking for a guy, just like in The Mummy, and it's Dwayne Johnson, who is this guy who's a skipper of his captain of his boat. He's a guy who's basically giving tourists jungle cruises. Like, he has this scheme where he has all these fake things set up, right, to scare people, and there is even some tribesmen that are a part of the act as well. And at the same time, he's telling these very bad jokes, that are very on-point bad jokes, like, oh, I used to work for an orange juice factory, and I couldn't concentrate, and I got canned. Like, those type of jokes, it was on purpose jokes, but it was very bad at the same time. Even like the parents or the little girl saying, "Does this guy ever shut up?" or something like. I'm like, yes, please, Dwayne Johnson, shut up already. Your jokes are not funny at all. You're not making people laugh. And then Paul Giamatti's in this. Which he's only in it for about 5 minutes total, but so at the same time, it's a waste of Paul Giamatti. He's a guy who's trying to speak he's being like an Italian type of guy, right? And he's a guy who kind of like owes the Dwayne Johnson owes money to, So they kind of like take his engine away until he gets the money to pay him back, and then Emily Blunt and the brother arrive, and talking to Dwayne Johnson to give him some money to give him to go to this location, to find the location, which Dwayne Johnson knows. And then there's a bar fight, which there's a CGI jaguar. Was it a leopard or a jaguar? I forget. Because they all kind of look the same. Cheetah, jaguar, or leopard. To me, it was a bad CGI. A cat, you can say. But that was all part of an act. Because that's actually Dwayne Johnson's pet. A loyal jaguar. I'm just saying jaguar. Screw it. I'm calling it jaguar. So yeah, it's actually Dwayne Johnson's pet. Saying, "Oh, you're a bad actor. You're a bad actor or something like that. You did too much." Yeah. So they go up. They get ready for the journey, and the brother has all these suitcases, which this joke was handled better which I remember instantly for this kind of thing. Mortal Kombat from 1995. With Lyndon Ashby as Johnny Cage, he had all these luggage to carry, which this joke actually worked. Like, he gives his luggage to Robin Shaw, and it's like, "Hey, here, I'll pay you, right?" And Robin Shaw just drops the luggage into the water and says, "Hey, thanks." And just takes his money and walks away for the. That was a joke that I thought was much more funnier and handled better. Here's okay, he's a guy who's carrying too many luggage. I think speaking of Anaconda, the first one, didn't Jonathan Hyde had a lot of luggage too when they're going on a trip through the jungle as well? Yeah, I think I do recall that Anaconda, Jonathan Hyde's character did the same thing. We had a lot of luggage too. I'm like, yeah, another guy who has a lot of luggage to get aboard, going through the jungle on a boat ride. Like, this film steals so much from a whole bunch of movies. First The Mummy, then, a little bit Anaconda, then the sequel, Hunt for the Blood Orchid 2. And then the bad guys show up, the prince shows up in his submarine, they shoot a torpedo at the boat, and Dwayne Johnson drives his boat through this house, to avoid the torpedo. Then they go on their journey. Then all of a sudden you get their little like this hate conversation between Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt. Dwayne Johnson's always keeps on calling her pants because Emily Blunt wears pants. Because I guess it's not very ladylike for a woman to wear men's pants, I guess, instead of like a dress like women usually wear back in those times. So that's why he keeps on calling her pants. And they talk back and forth, and when they listen to another, they get by they call them the rapids before avoiding going over a waterfall. And then the German prince catches up. They find the villain Edgar Ramirez and his men turn to stone, so they give him like a little bit of drips of water to bring them back. But like Edgar Ramirez, he's covered in snakes. One guy is covered in bees and honey, and another one is like basically made out of muddy water, and another one is like made out of like wooden sticks and vines. So yeah, they need a. So the prince makes a deal with them to help them out. And then one thing leads to another, like Dwayne Johnson and the rest, they captured by this tribe, but they're actually in cahoots with Dwayne Johnson because they were putting on act like how they were in the opening when Dwayne Johnson was given Jungle Cruises. They were part of an act. And then the brother's drinking something. Is like, but it turns out the guy's drinking is actually used spit. They're throwing jokes like that. He's drinking used spit now. Man. Yeah, spit. That's why it makes me think. I feel like spitting on this movie. Yeah, I got your spit right here. I'll spit on this movie. This is why I'm getting tired of Disney now. I said before, I say it again. I'm literally tired of Disney. I don't use Disney Plus. I'm not giving their money to these if Walt Disney was if I'm gonna say that if Walt Disney was alive today, saying how far his company's gone down, he certainly would be turning over in his grave right now. I that's what I think, because I don't think what the company that he built, when we go this far, buying up everything, being top of the world, monopolies. Well, that's what I think. I think he'd be turning over in his grave right now. But yeah, that's what I'm really tired of Disney. And this is another film that is another film that further proves it. What else? Then the cursed men show up. Dwayne Johnson, he gets stabbed, but they think he's dead. But it turns out he's actually cursed as well, because in a flashback, Dwayne Johnson, he was actually one of the conquistadors. He was actually one of Edgar Ramirez's men. Flashback like centuries ago, because they were also looking for the flowers and all that stuff, but they got cursed. And for years, they've been him and Edgar Ramirez, they were keeping on fighting each other, stabbing each other, but the whole thing got pretty boring pretty fast. So Dwayne Johnson trapped him in a pit where they couldn't get to the water, and that's why they turned to stone. So he's just been stuck throughout the centuries. He built the whole town, etc., but where they were at. So, but he couldn't leave because he can't get away from the water either. So Emily Blunt thinks he can break his curse as well. Then one thing leads to another. That I forgot to mention that of course they got to throw this in there as well, which is the point one of my Q&A things. Why the one thing they just keep on throwing in. They have to throw in a gay character as well, because it turns out the brother, he's gay. Well, they don't say that he doesn't say that he's flat out gay. He's just, when he's having that conversation with Dwayne Johnson, he says a couple of sentences that kind of leads into, make us think, okay, this guy is gay. Yeah, that's what it makes us think that he is. Not every Disney film has a from gay character. I mean, Beauty and the Beast from 2017 they had to throw in the fact, LeFou, Josh Gad's character, he's gay, because by the end of when they were dancing, he's holding onto another guy. Ay. Whatever. Then they finally get to the location where they had to go underwater for this thing to open this device to drain the whole entire part of this river down. That's where the hidden city is down there. The prince catches up, because there was even a scene where he's talking to bees. From the bad guys, he's talking to the bees. Even two of his men are like, he's talking to bees. I didn't care for this guy. But then the bad guys catch up, and the prince does, forces them to use his key to open up the tree. Like the mummy, using the key to open the book of the dead, basically. All the flowers start blooming, but they're starting to quickly disintegrate. So they need it. So Emily Blunt is able to get one. And just kind of like a similar to Hunt for the Blood Orchid, but eventually they lose everything. Well, except a little bit on that though. The bad guys catch up, like Edgar Ramirez and the rest of the guys. The bad guy, the prince dies. He gets crushed by a big rock. And since they're far away from the water, Dwayne Johnson rams his boat to distract them. And then Edgar Ramirez and Dwayne Johnson, since they're far away from the water, they get turned to stone again, including Dwayne Johnson. But Emily Blunt, she used the one flower to bring Dwayne Johnson back to life and breaks his curse. And then one thing that confused me, I wouldn't say really confused, is that after he was brought back, they look up and they see one more flower that's still blooming. So, did they take the flower or did they not? Because by the end after that, the brother goes back to London. telling all the people that basically they were laughing at him. From also, he was giving a lecture in the beginning, but they were pretty much laughing at him. So he was telling the same people again that about their journey, but he decided not to say anything about it, saying, "Oh, it was fantasy, but you can take your thing and shove it," basically, to them. And they were shouting at him, whatever. And then Emily Blunt and Dwayne Johnson, now they're together, like at the end of The Mummy. Now that Dwayne Johnson is out of the jungle now, he can feel free to see the world now, and he's learning how to drive. He's in London in a suit, and he's learning how to drive a car. But the thing is, though, they see the last flower. Do they take it? Do they decide to keep it and not tell anybody? Because with that one flower, they can basically like cure the They can do experimenting and cure the whole world basically. So I'm just a little bit confused there, because if we see the flower there, but they didn't bring it. They didn't mention anything. It didn't show like, oh, Emily Blunt, as they were driving away, oh, she had the flower secretly on them, right? No, they didn't bring anything up, you know. So basically, did they take the flower or not? I don't know. So Jungle Cruise, yeah. Yeah, so it was boring. That's what it was. That's why it was slow paced. It was boring. Dwayne Johnson, he's running on fumes now. Emily Blunt, she did the best she can, but she could not save this movie. The brother I did not care for, or they throw in the fact he's gay, I don't care for either. Paul Giamatti is wasted. The bad guys, like other bad guys, like the German prince, don't care for. He was just typical generic villain who wants, world power basically. And Edgar Ramirez and the CGI in them was not really that good to me. Like when Edgar Ramirez was like shooting out snakes, wasn't that good of effect to me. Basically like the same thing. It's a lot of similarities like The Mummy. A brother or sister, they need a guide to go to a certain place, with a key, and some bad guys are cursed. They need to break the curse, or a flower like like all those like from The Mummy, and a flower that can basically cure anything, just like Anaconda's The Hunt for the Blood Orchid. Only except that no, actually no, they didn't. In Hunt for the Blood Orchid, they lost all the flowers because of the collapse and everything, and it got dropped in that pit of snakes. So yeah, they lost all of it. So, but I don't know if they took that one flower that Emily Blunt and Dwayne Johnson saw. I don't know if they took it or not. It's left us open. Did she take it or not? Because if she took it and just kept it on, she basically has the cure for the whole world, basically. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of similarities, and it gave me a little bit of Pirates of the Caribbean vibe as well, and yeah, it's basically a Disney version ripoff of The Mummy. But it was just a very boring movie. That's what I thought. It was just a very boring film. Yeah, I paid money to see this. Yes, I did. If I had a proof for show that I'm not lying. Here we go. Okay. Hold on a second. Yeah. See? Jungle Cruise. Oh, why did I see it then? Because like I said, movie theaters opening up again. That's why because I miss going to the movies. I just want to get a good theater experience. Get my hobby back into order again. I like going to the movies, whether I've seen good or bad movies. Sometimes I say I don't want to see a bad movie because I don't care to see it, but a lot of times I don't want to see it anyway because I like to get a good experience on the big screen. But outside all that, though, I did not care for the movie at all. Basically, it's a bunch of ripoffs of a whole bunch of movies. Well, mainly two. Dwayne Johnson, like I said, he's just his shtick is pretty much the same. like especially the jokes he's telling were bad. The villains I didn't care for. Emily Blunt, she couldn't save this movie, even though she did her best in this film because I like her as an actress. She was trying, I can tell, but she couldn't save it. The brother didn't care for it, neither was the villains. The CG, a lot of times, like on the villains, like Edgar Ramirez and his man were not good. Even the CGI Jaguar, for a film that's budgeted of $200 million, jeez. Now you could say if things were back, if things were they were before all this happened, of course it probably would have made money. Same with the Suicide Squad. All these big budget films, I assume they would have made money if everything went to shit after this whole time. You get what I mean? I probably knew it probably would have made money. But if half of these movies are on streaming like Disney Plus or HBO Max, it takes the box office away from them. So. But anyway, I don't want to go any further on this. But Jungle Cruise, I did not care for. It was just a bland, generic, boring movie. Best basically sums it up: bland, boring, generic, and slow-paced. So, and like I said, Jaume Collet-Serra, I like a lot of his movies, but this is not the type of movie he would be making. It doesn't fit. It doesn't fit with all the movies that he's made, like from horror movies to action thrillers. It doesn't fit with those type of movies that he's made. It just doesn't. But now he's doing Black Adam once again with Dwayne Johnson, so I don't know. But yeah, this is my thoughts on Jungle Cruise. Yeah, another Disney film that I just don't care for now. I did not like. Like I said, I'm just getting sick. I'm just really getting sick of Disney right now. So sick of Disney. But like I said, why I put this on the worst list of my worst list I've seen this year? Yes. Now, it's not the worst movie. It's not the worst movie I've seen. It isn't. It's not the worst movie I've seen. I would say Mortal Kombat I think is worse. Godzilla vs. Kong I think is worse. What are the ones I thought was worse? Well, Suicide Squad is better than this, definitely. Yes, I would put Nobody, Willy's Wonderland, they're definitely better than this. Or better than any of the movies I don't like this year, so. Yeah. So yeah, I didn't care for this movie at all. But hey, if you like the film, that's fine. I hold no ill will against anybody. I respect people's opinions. If you guys like Jungle Cruise, good on ya. Good on ya. I really do mean it. If you thought it was a fun movie, good. But in my subjective, in my view, from my view, no, it wasn't enough for me. So, but as I said, you like it? Cool. I give you guys thumbs up if you think the film was a fun movie, popcorn film. Okay. But from my view, wasn't for me. But anyway, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next video or movie review. Later.